Our chalice lighting comes from a traditional source in honor of Litha, the summer solstice. I call to the green man who resides in the north. I am the daughter of earth, who summons you forth from caves and deep forests, from fields and their flowers. Bring abundance and joy to this sacred hour. Green man with great knowledge who sits in the east, please hear my wishes and bless my pleas. Bring abundance and joy on the eastern breeze, from over the land and across the seas. Green man with the fire from out of the south, remove from my life negativity and doubt. Instill in this circle courage and growth. Bring blessings and joy, abundance of both. Green man who governs the love and the rain, come from the west and push away pain. With each movement I make and breath that I take, bring blessings, abundance, and gain. May your eyes be focused on prosperity. May your mouth utter blessings upon this home. So mote would be. Our choral introit today, should have worn my sunglasses. Our choral introit is We Are Entering into a Sacred Circle by Heather Pearson.
Welcome. My name is Linda Rich, the Pastoral Care Team Lead. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester, a congregation of love, hope, and justice, inspiring people to take on the challenges of a challenging world. My name is Linda Rich, and I'm a member of the Pastoral Care Team. I'm helping as one of your worship associates this morning. We offer a special welcome to those of you who are new or visiting with us for the first time this morning. We are delighted that you are here. We hope that you will join us under the tent outside, out front, following the service for refreshments and conversation. If you have any questions or desire more information about the service or any of the ministries and programs of this congregation, please do not hesitate to ask. We invite you to fill out one of the cards found in the pews. These cards can be placed in the offering plate or left in one of the boxes in the foyer or fellowship hall. For those of you joining us online this morning, we offer you a very special welcome. For safety purposes and so that we might come to know you better as you are able, please place your name on your video feed. Please take a moment to sign one of the attendance clipboards that are now being circulated. Here we go. Though you're not obliged to sign, we appreciate your information and will use it only for church purposes. During the service, we offer an opportunity to share a brief personal joy or sorrow. If you would like yours to be read aloud, please print it on an index card in the pew and drop it off in the collection plate when it comes around. These cards will also be posted outside of the minister's office to be shared with our friends at other services. For those online, you can place a joy or sorrow in the chat, and we will read it during this time in the service. In the foyer are listening devices and large print service programs and hymnals for those of you who may need the assistance. Please see one of our ushers who will be pleased to assist you. I invite you now to turn your technology to worship mode. And finally, please note the announcements on the back of your program. And there will be time for a short verbal announcement following the postlude. We are so glad you are here and hope that this morning is an opportunity for rest, reflection, and rejuvenation.
The opening words of our service are from Adrienne Rich and her poem, Wild Patient Integrity, from her book, Wild Patience Has Gotten Me This Far. A wild patience has taken me this far, as if I had to bring to shore a boat with a spasmodic outboard motor. Old sweaters, nets, spray-mottled books tossed in the prow. Some kind of sun burning my shoulder blades, splashing the oarlocks, burning through. Your forearms can get scalded, licked with pain in a sun blotted like unspoken anger behind a casual mist. This is the time in our service for an eighth principle moment, and I am giving you mine. How many among us seated here knew nothing about Juneteenth until recently? Who learned about it in school? One person. Who from family? Who from friends? Well, I am among those who learned about Juneteenth as an old lady, already a grandmother. And when I did learn, I felt surprised, embarrassed, clueless, and complicit. Not pleasant feelings, to be sure. Clueless and surprised, How did I miss this? I grew up in Oklahoma. Embarrassed because I think of myself as an educated and informed liberal person. Complicit because I so easily ignored this because it didn't apply to me, but it does. My ancestors were probably slaveholders, although I do not know. They certainly were active participants in the benefits of white supremacy culture and Confederate soldiers, proudly. I want to know the inconvenient history that I was sheltered from. I promise that we cannot mend what we don't realize is broken. Let me share what I learned too recently about Juneteenth, that at least we will all know together. Most of my missive now is actually written by folks who are African Americans, because it is their voices I wish to hold in the center. Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States. Dating back to 1865, it was on June 19th that the Union soldiers, led by Major General Gordon Granger, landed at Galveston, Texas, with news that the war had ended and that the enslaved were now free. Note that this was 2.5 years after President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, which had become official in January 1st, 1863. This was the true end of the Civil War that I grew up hearing was the War of Northern Aggression, as this was the last time anyone was told that it was over of record. The Emancipation Proclamation had little impact on the Texans due to the minimal number of Union troops to enforce the new executive order. However, with the surrender of General Lee in April of 1865 and the arrival of General Granger's regiment, the forces were finally strong enough to influence and overcome the resistance. Later attempts to explain this 2.5-year delay in the receipt of this important news have yielded several versions that have been handed down through the years. Often told is the story of a messenger who was murdered on his way to Texas with the news of freedom. Another is that the news was deliberately withheld by the enslavers to maintain the labor force on the plantations. And still another is that federal troops actually waited for the slave owners to reap the benefits of one last cotton harvest before going to Texas to force the emancipation. All of which, or none of the versions, certainly for some, President Lincoln's authority over the rebellious state. Whatever the reasons, conditions in Texas status quo well beyond what was expected. One of General Granger's first orders of business was to read to the people of Texas General Order Number 3. The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired laborer. The reactions to this profound news range from pure shock to immediate jubilee. While many lingered to learn of this new employer-to-employee relationship, many left before these offers were completely off the lips of their former masters, attesting to varying conditions on the plantations and the realization of freedom. Even with nowhere to go, many felt that leaving the plantation would be their first grasp of freedom. North was a logical destination, and for many it represented true freedom, while the desire to reach family members in neighboring states drove some into Louisiana, Arkansas, and my own Oklahoma. Settling into these new areas as free men and women brought on new realities and the challenges of establishing a heretofore non-existent status for Black people in America. Recounting the memories of that great day in June of 1865 and its festivities would serve as motivation as well as a release from the growing pressures encountered in their new territories. The celebration of June 19th was coined Juneteenth and grew with more participants from descendants. The Juneteenth celebration was a time for reassuring each other, for praying, and for gathering remaining family members. Juneteenth continued to be highly revered in Texas decades later, with many former slaves and their descendants making an annual pilgrimage back to Galveston on this date. The range of activities were provided to entertain the masses, many of which continue to tradition today. Rodeos, fishing, barbecuing, and baseball are just a few of the typical Juneteenth activities you may witness. Juneteenth almost always focused on education and self-improvement. Thus, often guest speakers are brought in, and the elders are called upon to recount the events of the past. Prayer services were also a major part of these celebrations. Certain foods became popular, subsequently synonymous with Juneteenth celebrations, such as strawberry soda pop. We have coffee, sorry. More traditional and just as popular was the barbecuing, through which Juneteenth participants could share in the spirit and aromas of their ancestors, the newly emancipated African Americans. They would have experienced during these ceremonies. Hence, the barbecue pit is often established as the center of attention at Juneteenth celebrations. Food was abundant because everyone prepared a special dish. Meats such as lamb, pork, and beef, which were not available every day, were brought on this special occasion. A true Juneteenth celebration left visitors well satisfied and with enough conversation to last until the next. This is quite a celebration to have totally missed. Dress was also an important element in early Juneteenth customs, and it often still taken seriously, particularly by the direct descendants who can make the connection to this tradition's roots. During slavery, there were laws on the books in many areas that prohibited or limited the dressing of the enslaved. During the initial days of the Emancipation celebration, there are accounts of former slaves tossing their ragged garments into the creeks and rivers and adorning themselves with clothing taken from the plantation's belongings of their former masters. That's what I call getting dressed up for worship. In the early years, little interest existed outside the African American community in participation in the celebrations. In some cases, there were outwardly exhibited resistance by barring the use of public property for the festivities. Most of the festivities found themselves out in rural areas around rivers and creeks that could provide an additional activity such as fishing, horseback riding. Eventually, as African Americans became landowners, land was donated and dedicated for these festivities. One of the earliest documented land purchases in the name of Juneteenth was organized by Reverend Jack Yates. This fundraising effort yielded $1,000 and made possible the purchase of Emancipation Park in Houston, Texas. It seems most allowed their workers the day off, and some even made donations of food and money. For decades, these annual celebrations flourished, growing continuously with each passing year. I didn't see them. In Booker T. Washington Park, as many as 20,000 African Americans once attended during the course of a week, making the celebration one of the state's largest. That's in the whole state, not just for Juneteenth. That's the largest celebration. Economic and cultural forces led to the decline in Juneteenth activities and participants beginning in the early 1900s. Classroom and textbook education in lieu of traditional home and family-taught practices stifled the interest of the youth due to less emphasis and detail on the lives of former slaves. Classroom textbooks proclaimed Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation of January 1st, 1863, as the date signaling the end of slavery, and mentioned little or nothing of the impact of General Granger's arrival on June 19th. The Depression forced many people off the farms and into the cities to find work, and in these urban environments, employers were less eager to grant leaves to celebrate this date. Thus, unless June 19th fell on a weekend or a holiday, there were very few participants available. July 4th was already the established independence holiday, and a rise in patriotism steered more towards this celebration. The civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s yielded both positive and negative results for the Juneteenth celebrations. While it pulled many African American youth away and into the struggle for racial equality, many linked these struggles to the historical struggles of their ancestors. This was evidenced by student demonstrators involved in the Atlanta civil rights campaign in the early 1960s, who wore Juneteenth freedom buttons. Again, in 1968, and I'm alive at this point, Juneteenth received another strong resurgence through the Poor People's March in Washington, D.C. Reverend Ralph Abernathy's call for people of all races, creeds, economic levels, and professions to come to Washington to show support of the poor. Many of these attendees returned home and initiated Juneteenth celebrations in areas previously absent of such activities. In fact, two of the largest Juneteenth celebrations found after this march are now held in Milwaukee and Minneapolis. And I heard that there is a really huge one in Minneapolis happening right now on NPR this morning. In Texas, on January 1st, 1980, Juneteenth became an official state holiday. I'll let you do the math. This was through the efforts of Al Edwards, an African-American state legislator. The successful passage of this bill marked Juneteenth as the first emancipation celebration granted official state recognition. Edwards has since actively sought to spread the observance of Juneteenth all across America. Today, Juneteenth is enjoying a phenomenal growth rate within communities and organizations throughout the country. Institutions such as the Smithsonian, the Henry Ford Museum, and others have begun sponsoring Juneteenth-centered activities. We have one going on right now, pretty big in Worcester. Even the Woo Sox have a special Juneteenth ball game today. In recent years, a number of local and national Juneteenth organizations have arisen to take their place alongside older organizations, and all with the mission to promote and cultivate knowledge and appreciation of African American history and culture. Juneteenth celebrates African American freedom and achievement while encouraging continuous self-development and respect for all cultures. As it takes on a more national, symbolic, and even global perspective, the events of 1865 in Texas are not forgotten, for all of the roots tie back to the fertile soil from which a National Day of Pride was growing. On June 17, 2021, that's last year, President Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law, establishing Juneteenth as a federal holiday. That was last year, and 155 years later. Now, at least we all know this much. Thank you for your patience and your open ears, hopefully your open hearts. Juneteenth is more than a long weekend. It's more than a great party with barbecue. It's an important reminder. White supremacy is not quickly or easily decentered. While slavery is illegal, true, is equity a reality yet? 3 years or 155 years, the work continues. I heard last night in a conversation that 2 of the selectmen of my hometown that I live in now, West Boylston, were deciding that we didn't need to celebrate Juneteenth here. I'm almost ready to run. Let us celebrate. I was at my first Juneteenth celebration last evening. Several of you were there. I have smoke in my hair and barbecue in my tummy, and a carrot cake that was sent as a gift for our coffee hour from the Stevenson family to celebrate Juneteenth as part of our family. And now we will sing our opening hymn, number 396. I know this rose will open.
So we will sing it through together 2 times so we can get it in our ears. We have the majority of the choir members over on this side. So I'm going to sing with this side. And this side will come in when we get to the 3. So for those of you who read music, and for those of you who like to listen to music, you'll hear when we sing it in the round that there are times when we converge together. And we're singing the same thing, even though we're in 2 different parts of the song, and then we'll like separate some, and then we'll come back together. So we'll sing it 2 times all together. Then we will start, and then you all will come in where 3 happens, but I'll direct you in, and then we'll sing it 2 times with the round, and then we get to enjoy it. This rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my fear will burn away. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open.
And now we have a moment to allow our wings to open. Linda has part of her introduction I forgot.
Good morning again. Again, my name is Linda Rich, and I'm a member of the Pastoral Care Team. First, please know that the Pastoral Care Team, also known as Parish Services, was created to provide those in the congregation compassion, care, a listening ear, and perhaps some resources in times of need. Now, there are those on the committee, presently myself, Cheryl Howe, Susan Crossley, and Erin, who as a small group may organize efforts and help. And there are those of you who may want to be on the team to provide some kind of help also. The members of the Pastoral Care Team may provide the following: a visit to someone at home or in a healthcare facility, prepare a meal or participate in a meal train, for example, write a note, send an email, or even make a phone call to someone who may need some care and attention. Also, to provide transportation for a medical visit, for an errand, or a ride to church. We may provide some food or may serve at a memorial service, or offer short-term respite or emergency housing, or if you can, let one of us know on the committee of someone in the congregation who may need our help in any way. Last here, please note that the Pastoral Care Team Committee has a survey that is up in the message and in the weekend reminder of this past week, so that you can indicate just what you may be able to do. So please take a moment to consider what you can do, then fill out the survey. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, just let one of us know. Thank you.
And now, in all our humanity, we will get back to where I was supposed to be. This reading is by Joan Cavanaugh, The Green Man. He runs through the forest, breathing life into all that he can, whispering to the trees he's known as the Green Man. Passing on his vibrant energy to all things green. Perhaps he's been near, but you know not what you've seen. Maybe the leaves have rustled spontaneously, but no breeze is present, chasing in and out of the tree. This will be when he talks to his woodland friends, who he wholeheartedly loves, protects, and defends, and tells them magical stories that make their little leaves shiver in delight and excitement, so that they will deliver an abundance of new leaves when spring comes to the land, the time of awakening and renewal, guided by his expert hand. And if blossoms are required on a particular tree or plant, a different song he will sing to everything from toadstool to ant. For all have their part to play in every green place, their energies all needed along with divine grace to create an environment so that the right conditions abound, the flora and fauna all lending their sounds in a magical orchestra of frequencies and notes, all playing the tune which the Green Man wrote. Then comes summertime, he manifests, planting everything in his bright colors, from petals to birds' eggs in their nests. And in autumn, he begins to sing his lullabies, so that the leaves will fall and dance in the skies. Ready for winter, when nature rests in its slumber, and all has long since turned to shades of dark brown and umber, a chance for the Green Man to recharge and reflect on what new life he will breathe into next. Look beyond the surface of the realm of the Green Man. Why the Green Man, Cheryl? This is really getting kind of redundant. Well, you may wonder where Erin is. Our beloved pastor, is teaching people right now in an emergent way how to handle and minister to people who have experienced violence and trauma. And I wish he didn't have to do it, but when he told me he needed someone to cover, I said yes. And then he reminded me it was Father's Day. And I am among those of you here who as a child did not have a father they would celebrate, or for who Father's Day was at best awkward. I admit to being jealous of those who had fathers that nurtured them, raised them up, who shared their children's love and devotion. While I cannot share the loving stories of a blessed father, as my colleague Aaron has done so beautifully so many times from this pulpit, I can say that I have met other fathers here that I would hold up in this congregation, fathers of many genders, who I want to honor. Being a father today, as so much is necessarily changing, can be disorienting at least. Some here are fathers, some grandfathers, some foster fathers, or fathers in spirit. While there is sadness for fathers who were challenging, absent, or perhaps beloved and now passed beyond our touch, today is Father's Day, and we wish to hold sacred and bless all who have embraced the role of a father for a child. I sent my mother a Father's Day card every year. Now, I would invite everyone here who fathers to accept this small token of the green man. They have been blessed by our Letha wishes, a talisman of the ancient nurturing father, depicted as a masculine face surrounded by leaves. I ask you to take it to recognize and bless your father nature. May it give you guidance in challenging times, support when needed, strength for protecting the vulnerable, and the beloved gentleness of a daddy. All who claim the title Father, please, as the basket comes around, take a charm. And if you have a father that is not present and you will be able to connect with, take a charm for them. But then you have to explain what it means, just so you know. Thank you, Joan. And now, in honor of the father you had, the father you wish you had, or the father you are, I ask you to be generous in your financial support of this community, this congregation that toils so diligently to heal the broken, to raise the neglected, to feed the hungry of body and spirit, to love the lonely, that it may continue its work. The offering will now be received. And if you are a guest, please take this service as your gift.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountain The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you, must go and I must ride. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. But when you come and all the flowers are dying, if I am dead, as dead I well may be, they'll come to find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say, and Ave there for me. And I shall hear, though soft you tread above me, and all my grave will warmer, sweeter be. For you will bend and tell me that you love me, and I shall sleep in peace until you come for me.
And is this on? And now we come to the time in our service. Now it's okay. This is a challenge that I find awkward in the rest of the time. If we don't speak into the microphone, no matter where we are in our emotional place, the people online cannot hear us. And so I invite any who have a joy or sorrow that may be held by this community to Now it's on. Okay. Now, see, if you don't talk into the microphone when it's on, the people online cannot hear you. And so I apologize to all my friends, because I'm usually the one on FaceTime getting all the feedback. We can't hear anybody. What did they say? So this is the time in our service in which we share a joy or a sorrow from our lives that would be easier to bear if we had our friends help us, or that we would like them to join us in our celebration. If you have a joy or a sorrow you would like to share at this time, I invite you to come forward and form a line wherever you can find a place. and we will share our joys and sorrows. If you are online, you can type it into the chat. If you're on Facebook, there is about a 5-minute delay, so if you don't start typing now, it's not happening. Are there any joys or sorrows to be shared this glorious day?
Morning, everyone. I asked the team to come up with me. My name is Melissa McKeown. I am honored to represent the Cavanaugh team. All right, is that better? Okay. Once again, I'm Melissa McKeown. I'm honored to represent the Cavanaugh team. We're not all here today, but some of us on the team are here. Betty Genuine, Carol Howe. We're missing Ruth Silver, Leo Da Silva, and Jan Cutman. And the team includes advice and support from Kim McCoy. We had an amazing experience this week that we need to share with you because this is actually your honor as well. We were invited to the Worcester Horticultural Society's annual meeting to participate and receive an award for our church. The New England Botanic Garden at Tower Hill gave us the Community Greening Award for the Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester's Best Sustainable Public Green Space. And although this has certainly meant a lot of work for us, this is all due to your support for what we get to do out there and your appreciation, because I've noticed, and we did this yesterday after Carol's mom's memorial service, everybody went for a tour of the gardens and they were gone for a really long time. So they were clearly very interested in what was going on. And, members of the public have expressed their interest and their support. And at the annual meeting, several people came over to us and said, "Where is this? Where is this?" And I invited them to come and pull in the driveway and take a walk around and enjoy it. And today, after coffee hour, I hope that you will do that too. And pat yourself on the back, because this belongs to the whole church. And pretty soon we're going to mount this in the hallway. And the other thing is, they gave us a year's, I believe it's for a year, membership to Tower Hill that belongs to this whole church. So if you decide you want to go to Tower Hill, you don't have a membership, call one of us on the team and we'll make sure you get a card and you can go. Thanks.
I am Carol Howe, and I'm actually a little overwhelmed with tears, and part of it is left over from yesterday, but also what Dave's song today was ethereal. It was so beautiful. And I want to thank all of those in the church who helped with my mother's memorial service. After 2 years, she is now at rest. The final process was completed yesterday, and all 6 of us siblings were here from Canada, from Florida, from Montana. I don't know where else they're from. They're all scattered across the country. So thank you very much for being you. My sister Gail is a representative from Canada. Oh, the brave.
But I just stay here. I just thought this is a joy and a sorrow because it was for Mom's memorial service, but coming back to this church where I grew up and seeing beautiful friends, Nancy Harnclock and Maura and Tom Pierce I saw yesterday, and there's Dave Farno and Deb, and it was such a beautiful feeling coming back here and seeing what you've done for the church. So that's my joy. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Diane Mann. My joy this morning is Cheryl Leshay. She doesn't know I'm doing this, but earlier this week, she told me she was doing a service with Juneteenth, Father's Day, and the Green Man, and I went, blessed to you. And she's pulling it off. And that's a pretty amazing thing because she's a pretty amazing person. I also know that she didn't have a great father. And I had two great fathers in my life. One from Texas, who, when he was in Iowa, when I was a little kid growing up, wore his cowboy boots and his cowboy hat very proudly. And he served in World War II, was D-Day 6. And I had another wonderful man in my life who was my husband's father, who was D-Day 1. And soon we will go visit him in Arlington National Cemetery. And so I want to share my great fathers with you.
Gosh, what a day. I'm not quite sure who the plaque belonged to, but growing up, there was a little plaque in the house that said, I love you in big ways, and I love you in small ways, and I love you this moment, and I'll love you always. And this place is a pretty amazing place. And I want to thank you all for all those small ways that you care for me and Sean specifically, and celebrate the big ways that this church supports my livelihood. Happy to announce IHN is a full house for the first time in 3 years. And we couldn't do it without you. I love you.
I'm Marcus Stone, and I wanted to, I have a sorrow that my wife fell down the stairs last Sunday, and I think she might have overdone it at the yard sale and hurt her back pretty bad, so I'm her caregiver right now, but hopefully she'll come along.
Just get up and walk over here, my husband and father of my children that I adore. On the wings of the eastern wind, float. Your little, it'll carry you. I love this man. That is my greatest joy of all.
So from Deb Zawelski, she wanted to share that she has great memories of her father, passed 45 years ago, but still that he was a wonderful man and that she still misses him. And as long as I'm up here, I have a joy to share, which is that in 2 days, we will celebrate our 41st wedding anniversary.
I recommend getting married on the summer solstice. You never forget when your wedding anniversary is. For all of those joys and sorrows that were perhaps too large to share, we hold those too. Precious, precious Lord, I have prayed so many times with these words. They mean something different to me now, but I share them. My Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses, and help us to forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. Amen. And blessed be. And now we're going to sing together a Unitarian Universalist hymn that I think you probably do not need your hymnal for, Spirit of Life, number 123. Okay, now time for my second sermon. I have already sermonated everyone in so many ways. Let me just take a brief moment to try and bring it all together, because I promised I am. Why did we need such an explanation of Juneteenth? Because so many of us are a product of a whitewashed education. Humans operate from what they know. Now we know, or better or worse, we know. 2, change is desperately needed and desperately feared. Change for the future of our planet, change for the divisiveness of our country, change for the way we will live in our post-pandemic, now endemic lives, change in how we view ourselves in the bigger society we participate in. We know change must happen, and change is a leap of faith into the unknown, and that can be scary. Feelings are strong motivators and can be even stronger roadblocks. Learning to manage our feelings is a maturational achievement. Consider the obvious. A 2-year-old and a 6-year-old manage disappointment differently. A 13-year-old and 18-year-old differently still. An established 30-year-old and an aged elder differently still. Time, experience, and willingness all play a role in learning to manage big feelings. Disappointment, fear, anger, love all morph as we mature. Parental figures nurture our maturation. How we will incorporate those learnings, act on them, make them our own is up to ourselves. Our fathers, our parental figures, model for us where we should be growing, how we can grow. It's up to us to make the choices. Now, when do we stop growing up? different people at different times. We can all think of people who got stalled in their maturation, folks who act irrationally when encountering disappointment, pushing away truth and logic and science to avoid feelings they are unable or unwilling to manage. Tantrums are not, unfortunately, just the realm of toddlers to everyone's detriment. But we here are in a covenant to conduct a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We cannot responsibly ignore uncomfortable truth and scientific or mathematical facts just because we don't like them. We need maturity to manage these uncomfortable truths. We need to help each other develop that maturity. It takes time. Now, the green man is the nurturing father figure held up in Celtic paganism. It gives us one more image of a nurturing parent, one that seeks to keep us all connected to the most basic of ways. All beings are part of nature, all of us, part of one creation that is ever changing and always moving. Let us continue to grow with each new revelation. Let us accept it, incorporate it, and let it grow us into a more loving, a more just, a more kind, a more accepting, a less frightened individual. Let us not stagnate, wilt, or stall when receiving news we do not like, want to hear, or necessarily trust. Trust comes with time and with experimentation, and wild patience is more than enduring. Wild patience is an active patience. Yes, the sun of anger may burn our arms and our back, but we will eventually get that boat to shore. I'm referring back to Adrian Rich's Wild Patience. May this glorious confluence of celebrations bring us joy and energy. I could have said, "Holy, what did you hand me, Aaron?" Oh wait, I did say that. Or I could wrestle with my feelings, wrestle with my judgments, wrestle with my own ignorance and naivete, and do something about it. I hope that in doing this, I am showing you that it doesn't kill you to do that. It actually makes us better. So, may this glory and confluence of these celebrations bring us joy and energy. And the contemplation of summer, which is next week and starts actually on Tuesday with my wedding anniversary, give us the space to allow those changes to become a part of us, maturing in us like a fine wine, as it is necessary to continue onward on the road ahead and not go backwards. And may you never forget Juneteenth again, because that is a holiday for all of us to celebrate with our community, which includes our brothers, siblings, sisters who are living the celebration, and the hope of equality in this country. Amen, and blessed be, and Ashe, which comes from the African American tradition, which is an honoring of the ancestors. Now my buddy in crime. Diana and I got through COVID, by the way, by singing to each other online. And it has formed a bond between us that will never break.
Now blows the wind with soft, relaxing warmth.
The sun beats down, the schools are out.
Children swarm in the playgrounds and the streets, and eager city folk, vacation bound, crowd the broad highways.
The lakes and seashores lose their solitude, and all the world seems turned to carnival.
What of ourselves? There could be now deep peace, a time for soul searching.
We might turn to examine our own lives, to sort and probe our tendencies of thought,
To sift the true from false in the things of doubt.
the beautiful from ugliness unmarked.
The sun beats down. It is a time for pause.
Even the trees seem resting for a time, as if to meditate and gather strength for the more strenuous times that lie ahead.
And shall not we? Here's the unfinished clay, half molded, that still waits on us.
To think that we have been, as we are, still yet have to become. Now, if you will join me in singing, and with great gratitude to my friends in the choir, who are my biggest support group these days, we're going to sit at this welcome table one of these days, hymn number 407. I love that song. And now, as we call the directions to bring our circle together, as the witch that I am, we must release the directions. So, having begun in the north, Spirit of the North, we bless you, and may you bless us. Thank you for your attendance. Blessed be. Spirit of the East, you have blessed us, and we bless you. Thank you for your attendance. Blessed be. Spirit of the South, thank you for your attendance. You have blessed us, and we bless you. Blessed be. Spirit of the West, thank you for being with us. Thank you for blessing us. We bless you. Blessed be. Our circle is open, but unbroken. May the spirit of nature and love be with you. now and for the rest of the summer until we meet again. Blessed be.
I dedicated this music to my dad, Walter Irvine. I can still see him singing. When I was a child, I begged for music lessons. I studied with Ann Rochlow, I didn't know that name. And this is one of the songs she started me on. Came home with a book full of music by Edward McDowell. Beautiful stuff, all dedicated to nature scenes. My dad fell in love with it, begged me to give him a copy, so I did. And if you know the tune, you will recognize he played it many times during services. So I dedicate this to him.
It is with great gratitude and joy I send you out to our, first I said there could be announcements at this point. Any announcements? Come quickly. And then I'm going to send you out. Don't go yet.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this to you all. The church has also received a $2,000 grant from the city of Worcester for beautification. Yay. And a gift of some trees. I can't remember how many. Carol, do you know? How many trees we got donated? Okay, and those were from, oh, Betty? 5 from Tower Hill? From Tower Hill, so forgot to mention that. Yeah, I know.
You're so wonderfully green. Thank you so much. Any last announcements? Okay, this is the announcement. There is a carrot cake out there from the Juneteenth ceremony last night at the Stevenson's house for us to share. It has nuts in it, but if you can handle nuts, please have some cake. All out to the tent. Thank you so much.
Bring it around a little bit. Show them where we come from.